Okay, so today we're going to be looking at data and we're going to be creating bar graphs and histograms from that data. So a histogram is a type of bar graph, but a bar graph shows categorical data, so it's data that's in categories such as colors or eye colors or basketball teams, whatever, different categories, okay? Sports. And then histograms, it's intervals of numbers that are data, okay? So for example, maybe when you're talking about like a baby, you usually talk about them in months, their ages are in months normally. So like you could say like from 0 to 3 months, or then from 4 to 6 months, whatever, you know what I mean? Things like that. So it's intervals of data. So that's the main difference between the two. So bar graphs display categorical data broken down into different groups, like I said. You can compare the data by looking at the size of the bar. So the width of the bar should be the same, but the length, how tall they are, is what determines the differences, okay? This is the main thing between the difference of these two, that there's spaces in between each category, okay? So that you can show the difference between the two categories. So when we're making a bar graph, your graph should be titled. You need to create a title. It's usually whatever the title of the chart is or whatever we're talking about. Then we need to label both axes. So whatever the title of the table is for the x-axis, then that's what you're going to label it. Whatever the title is of the y, that's what you're going to label it. Then this is what's really important. Your data should begin at 0 and then increase by equal intervals. So it should go up, like we're going up by 2s, it always needs to go up by 2s. If it's going up by 5s, it always needs to go up by 5s, and so on and so forth. And then if we're creating a double or triple bar graph, then you need to provide a key. For example, if we were doing eye colors, we would have the eye colors like brown, blue, hazel, green, other, and then that can be broken down into boys and girls, or whatever. And then those would be 2 separate bars, but they would both go underneath brown eyes, okay? And then you'd have to provide a key on which ones are the boys and which ones are the girls in the graph, okay? So, let's do this. Make a bar graph from the yearly expenditures of college students. So, we're talking about college expenses, okay? So that's what I'm going to label my chart, college expenses. Don't worry, we're going to create, we're going to write this down and everything like that. Then our X items are literally the items. So that's going to be my X axis, we're going to label it as items. And then our Y axis would be labeled as amount. And then we'd probably put dollars, like a dollar sign next to it. And then let's look at the data. So we always start at 0. Our highest number is 9,000 and our lowest number is 1,000. So what interval should we go up by? What do you think? Thousands, right? So we can show thousands. And then we're not actually creating a ton of numbers, and we're only going to have to go up 9. All right, so you guys are going to draw this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. But so we have our title, which is college expenses. We labeled our axes. And then we start at 0. And we're going up by 1,000. Okay? Then you can abbreviate down here, like tuition, you can put like TU, and then RB/B, and then B/L, then trans, and enter, then miscellaneous. I'm going to zoom up for you guys. You can see you're drawing the bar graph though. And then instead of drawing a detailed bars, you can literally just draw lines. Okay, like up to the number amount. Which one would that be zooming in? So yeah, we would just draw our lines up to the number amount. And make sure you leave spaces in between. You can draw actual bars if you want to, but they don't need to be all detailed, okay? This doesn't need to be... The main thing is make sure that your bars are equal in width. You don't want them one bar to be wider, much wider. I mean, it won't be perfect, but you don't want it to be much wider than the other bars because it looks like the data is different then. let's look at the next one. So this one says make a double bar graph of favorite colors. So what should we label this? What should the title be? Favorite colors. It literally tells us that, okay? Then our x-axis is colors, and our y-axis are going to be number of people, because boys and girls are people. Those are just subcategories. Girls and boys are the subcategories, okay? So we're going to start at 0. What interval should we go up by? I would probably go up by 2, so you don't have to write as many numbers. You can go up by 1s, but 2s would be good. And then, so we'll see here, I'm starting at 0, I'm going up by 2s. I labeled my graph favorite colors, number of people, and colors. And then we have red, blue, green, yellow, purple. All right, so this is the part where it says create a key, okay? So I understand that you don't have colors usually. So instead of doing like a color coding, which usually they are color coded, you can make your bars one be just like a empty bar and one be like with lines. Okay? And then you'd create a key where your empty box and then your box would be lines. I'm going to zoom in. Okay? When you are inside a category, the bars touch. Okay? But between the categories, they do not. Okay? So I'm going to zoom in so you guys can get that copy down. All right, so for the next one, we're going to be determining what is wrong with the bar graphs shown below. All right, so let's look at both of them at the same time. So they both have a title, so I'm looking at my checklist. All right, both axes should be labeled. Are the axes labeled? Okay, so for both of them, I'm going to put this up top, the axes aren't labeled. Both axes aren't labeled. All right, how about this one over here? Let's look, the next part is that they need to start at 0. Does it start at 0? No, the scale doesn't start at 0. But it does go up by even interval size. Okay, but it should start at 0. All right, how about the other one? It starts at 0, it goes up by hundreds, but can you tell the difference between those bars, really? No. So should we have gone up by 100s? No, we probably should have gone up by a different scale. So this is a bad scale. We don't know what that data means. So let's talk about our histograms. So a histogram is a bar graph made from quantitative data. Data is organized into groups or intervals of numbers. Since there are no gaps between the intervals, the bars touch. Okay, so that's the really main difference, and the huge difference here, that the bars touch because it's a range of data. So histograms are made in the same way as bar graphs, so they need to have title, you need to label the axes, they need to start at 0 and then you need to go up by the same interval. The only part here is that if the intervals are not provided, you may have to divide the numbers into a reasonable number of groups of equal length. Be sure that the bars connect and only write the starting number of each interval, okay? Most of the time, they will provide the intervals for you, however, sometimes they may not. So, let's look here. So, we're looking at test score frequency, so that would be like my title. And then our intervals, our starting amounts are from 60, 70, 80, and then 90. And then our x-axis would be labeled test scores or scores. Our y-axis would be labeled frequency. Okay? So you can see here. So we have our title, which are test score frequency. We have our axes labeled that says scores and that says frequency. Then we start at 0. This one's going up by 2s because all of our numbers are even numbers. And then we have the starting amount of each interval, okay, only. Then the big thing here is that your bars are the same width and that they touch. I'm going to zoom in so don't worry too much, okay? You want to make sure that they're the same, about the same width. Okay, you don't have to be perfect when you're drawing them, but you can't have one that's really skinny and one that's really fat, because otherwise it makes the data look incorrect. Okay? So let's zoom. Alright, so let's look at these histograms and we can see what's wrong with them. So they all have titles, they both have their axes labeled. So let's look at this first one here. What can we say about it that's a major difference?
The sizes are different.
Yeah, the bars are different widths. Yes.
I don't think it's much a 0.
I think it does, but I don't know for sure. But the obvious problem is that the widths are different. So this one isn't as obvious, and it's kind of it might be hard for you guys to see, but it is going up by, it's starting at 0 and it's going up by 2, so that's good. They all look equal width, which is good. However,
It says the 2 numbers.
that is a problem in a sense, but that's not the major problem. You can do it that way, but I prefer if you don't. This is under 20, so that's from 0 to 20, right? That's my interval there.
Yeah.
And then from 20 to 24. So this is 20 values. This is 5 values. Then we have 5 again, 5, 5, 5, 5, and then 50 plus. That can be anything. 50 plus could be any number that's greater than 50. So the intervals aren't the same. And like you were saying, the intervals include the end value, but that's not as important as there are different intervals. You have to have the same intervals.